Okay, guys, so last time, if you remember, we started reading this passage that was talking about the situation of women in English society. After reading this passage, highlighting the map, we answered some questions from 32 until 35, right? And the last question that we did here was about why she chose the setting of the bridge. And the answer was because it provides a good view of the procession of the sons of educated men. Now, the two questions that follow, 36 and 37, they are related because 37, as you can see here, it's an evidence question. So as we said, we have a trick that we use with evidence questions. What should we do? Who can help me here?
See the last question, in which line it was.
Good.
And then,
so yeah, when we look at 35, where did we get our answer from? Which line?
10, 11.
Yeah, 10, 11. Now, if you look at the options, they're all after 10. So this time we have to be patient. Even if we go to the question itself, 36, Wolf indicates, now we know that this, what kind of question again?
Statement.
Exactly. So that's a statement question. And they're telling us that she indicates that the procession she describes in the passage, we have something. So even you don't actually have specific keywords you can depend on. What that means, we have to be patient, starting reading from line 12 and see what we can say about that procession, okay? But in this case, in order to save some time, you can read the options. Usually we don't do that, right? We just take our keywords, we go to the passage, find the evidence. But first of all, here you don't have specific keywords. And the evidence trick didn't really help us here, right? And that's going to happen. So you can read the options, trying to keep them in mind when you go back to the passage, because something will ring the bell, right? So has come to more practical influence in recent years. Of course, we're talking about the procession, remember, has come to have more practical influence in recent years, has become a celebrated feature of English public life, includes all of the richest and most powerful men in England, has become less exclusionary in its membership in recent years. Okay, you read those options and then you start reading from the second paragraph, line 12. So there they go, our brothers who have been educated at public schools and universities, mounting those steps, passing in and out of those doors, ascending those pulpits, preaching, teaching, administering justice, practicing medicine, transacting business, making money. As you can see here, it's just one idea, okay? I know it's a lot of lines, but it's just one thing. She is trying to prove that they, who are the men of the sons of educated men, can do all of these things. And we said they are about two things: education, because she mentioned schools and universities, and professions, jobs. And she mentioned many different types of jobs. Okay, so apparently, of course, I should know here that that's not where I can get my answer, right? It's a solemn sight, always a procession, like a caravanserai crossing a desert. But now, look, what did we say last time? We're gonna have a question here because we have a shift word, which is but. But now, what happened? What's the change? What is the shift? For the past 20 years or so, it's no longer a sight merely. It's not just a photograph or a fresco scroll upon the walls of time at which we can look with merely an aesthetic appreciation. Now here we know that there's a change, right? But now we need to ask ourselves, what is that change? She said, for there, traipsing along the tail end of the procession, we go ourselves. So now it's not only for the sons of educated men, but women can do the same thing. So my answer, it should be here. And more specifically, the change itself, which is we go ourselves. So here I have, for example, lines, I believe, 23 and 24, right? Let's look at the options. Do I have that here? Yes, I do. 23, 24, it is C. Now, even I didn't choose the answer for 36 yet, this is the only possible and logical answer I can get. So I'm going to stick to my evidence. All I need to do now is just match it with one of the options on 36. And now look at the options again and send me your answers on the chat box, please.
Didn't we solve this as homework or?
I'm not sure.
Oh,
Even
okay.
if we did, you wouldn't do it now?
No, I'll do it.
Okay. Mm-hmm. No, you can just send your answers to 36, okay? Those who have already done their homework and send me the answers, you don't have to send them again. It's just that because we have different answers sometimes, I'd like to see if there's going to be a change in your answers after the way we do it. All right, so I believe that we agree here, and yes, the answer is D. What happened to this procession is that it has become less exclusive, less exclusionary in its membership. Why? Because first, it was only for men, but now the change is that we, and we know that we refer to women, join that procession. And that's what we had in lines 23 and 24, right? So my advice is, if you can get the evidence first, it's much better. To be honest with you, sometimes you can't, okay? And don't be shocked or surprised, it happens. But if you try your best and find the evidence first, that's much better. Because all you need now is just to match your evidence lines with one of the options that you have in the previous question. Okay, now we have the same thing. We have a question and then it's followed by evidence. Let's see what it tells us here. Wolf characterizes the questions in lines 53 and 57 as both what? So they gave us those specific lines, but they gave us the questions, okay? And we need to find how we can describe or characterize these questions. And we said that usually the answer is not in these lines, right? So let's see how we can answer those questions. So again, because, you know, we just chose our lines in 23, 24, that means that all these options can work, right, in evidence. But I keep in mind that the questions are in 53 and 57. And if we read them again very quickly, remember those questions. For we have to ask ourselves, here and now, number one, do we wish to join that procession? Number two, on what terms shall we join? Number three, where is it leading us? So these are the questions. Now, they're not asking us about the questions themselves. They're asking us how she characterized those questions. Of course, we need to go back this time a little bit, okay? Because she said here, first of all, we are here on the bridge to ask ourselves certain questions. And then she described the questions, and then she told us what those questions are. And they are very important questions, and we have very little time in which to answer them. These are the two things that we should be able to identify in one of the options. First of all, they are important questions. Number two, they are urgent. We don't have enough time. We have very little time to answer them. So I already found my answer here. And again, if we look at the lines, I believe they are 48, 49, right? I go to the options for the evidence first to check if I'm correct about it. Yes, we have 48, 49. Perfect. Can I now match my evidence with one of the options that I have in 38? A, can I describe these questions now as controversial, argumentative, debatable, and threatening, or weighty and unanswerable? C, momentous and pressing. D, provocative and mysterious. Come on, I'm waiting for you guys. Just send me the letter that presents the right answer for 38.
But can I ask a question first?
Yep.
Why didn't we say that it's in line 57? Because he's saying that moment is short. That means we have no time.
Perfect. Exactly. What does that line say? Can you tell me?
Just a second. 57. Okay, I found it, yeah.
What does it
The
say?
moment is short. It may last 5 years, 10 years, or perhaps only a matter of few months
Okay.
longer.
Again, the option itself, now whether you choose all of these lines or only 57, because look, 57 just says the moment is short. And if you look at the first word and the last word,
Yeah.
it's just the moment is short. Good. How many characteristics do we have here in this line? One. Okay, but I should have two. All the options, they ask me to provide them with two characteristics. So that's half an answer, and it's correct. Like, it's correct, but it just gives me half of the answer that I need for 38. And that's why they said as both, this and that, not only this. Okay?
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Come on, guys, where are the answers? All right. So yes, we agree on the right answer. It is C. We said they are very important and we have very little time to answer them. So pressing and momentous, we have to answer them now. And they are pressing, they are important, and they are momentous because we have very little time to answer them. And that's why the best evidence was 48, 49, and C represents the information that we have in these lines. Last time, if you remember, we also talked about the sixpence. And we said, of course, it's figurative. And they mentioned that in the question. Look, they said, which choice most closely captures the meaning of the figurative sixpence referred to in lines 70 and 71? Because we said sixpence is a coin. All right. And we said, of course, it doesn't mean a literal physical coin. It's used figurative. But we need to figure out what exactly she means by that. Okay. And the word is used in lines 70 and 71, which is here. It falls to us now to go on thinking how we are to spend that sixpence, right? And here we have sixpence mentioned already. So of course, what did we learn when we have specific lines mentioned in the question? We have to go at least 2 or 3 sentences before, right? It's just like a function question. Now, remember from the context, she said that women will have excuses. She said, you know, you have your rent to pay, you have your bazaar to organize, and so on. But she said that excuse shall not serve you, madam, right? And here we start to read, and we're going to try to be able to find out what she actually means by sixpence. As you know from your own experience, and there are facts that prove it, the daughters of educated men have always done their thinking from hand to mouth, not under green lamps at study tables in the cloisters of secluded colleges. They have thought while they stir the pot, while they rock the cradle. It was thus that they won us the right to our brand new sixpence. It falls to us now to go on thinking how we are to spend that sixpence. So that gives us half of the answer. Because what is the sixpence? It's something that was provided by the daughters of educated men. How did they, or how could they provide us with this sixpence? Because they have done their thinking, right? And now what should we do? We have to continue thinking, but this time not how to get the sixpence because we already have it, but how to spend it, right? So now I go to the options and I see which one will make more sense. And as usual, when something that's not really clear, we can start the opposite way, which is eliminating the options that are obviously wrong. So let's see here. Naya, if I ask you, give me an answer that is absolutely wrong.
A.
Tolerance. Okay, thank you. Radwa, give me another one.
Knowledge.
Knowledge. Okay, that works as well. So now we either have opportunity or perspective. Now, look, to be honest, if I were you guys, I would eliminate immediately A and D. So it's either knowledge because there is thinking, right? And there's opportunity. But here, they've done their part. So thinking is the knowledge, and that's the confusing part because they have done their thinking, and thinking is the knowledge. But this thinking, this knowledge gave us the sixpence. Okay, that's why maybe many people choose knowledge. But you have to focus here. They have done their thinking, that's knowledge, and their thinking won us the brand new sixpence. So the answer would be C. Okay. So it's
can be a point of view, like because it's different. So it
Sorry?
can be perspective. Thinking can be point of view, like it can, because it's different. It's not the same. So we can consider thinking as perspective.
Yeah. Like as I said, when you eliminated this option, I went with it. That's fine. But I'm just saying, if I were you, but I am not you, unfortunately. So, okay.
I have a question.
Yep.
When do we know when to read before the lines that are stated?
Whenever there are specific lines mentioned in the question itself, you have to go before. Like here, when we did this, they mentioned the questions in 53, 57. Where did we get our answer from? Before, 48, 49. Here, 71 and 76. We went before. That's a general rule. Whenever you have specific lines mentioned in the question itself, you have to go before. If the paragraph is short, I said, you go to the beginning of the paragraph. If it's too long, like it's 25, 30 lines, and you cannot reread the whole thing, then you can just go 2 or maximum 3 sentences before the specific lines mentioned in the question. That's the general rule. Now, most of the time, the answer is before, but of course, you're going to find that for some questions, the answer is after the lines. But that doesn't harm you. You always need to go back. Why? Because you need to get the specific or the key point that all these lines that are following are related to, and they are working just to support that key point. Makes sense?
Yes, thank you.
Welcome. The last question. We're not going to go back to the passage. Here, if you remember last time, we said that at the end, she mentioned many different places and many different occasions. She kept saying, let's think here, let's think there, let's think on omnibuses, let's think in funerals, let's think in weddings. Okay, so what is she trying to emphasize? Now that's a function question. Now they gave us half of the answer here because usually the question should end with mainly serves to. That's the end of the question. But they gave us the first half. She was trying to emphasize something. And now we should get the other half. What is she trying to emphasize? Okay. How novel. And remember, novel as an adjective, it means new. Okay. How novel the challenge faced by women is. How pervasive the need for critical reflection is. How complex the political and social issues of the day are. How enjoyable the career possibilities for women are. Now, here's the thing. Do you remember in the first question, the first specific question, what did we say about dreaming? What did one of the options say about dreaming? What kind of memory do you have? It's not even the fish memory. I think that fish have better memories than yours, guys. Dreaming. How did one of the options express the idea of dreaming? Come on.
I remember that it was the bridge thing. And
It's fanciful reflection. كانت على راس لسانك يا يحيى صح؟
yes.
Yeah, I just took it out. Yes, and you believe that, man? Anyway, thanks for your self-confidence. So we said dreaming was referred to as fanciful reflection. She's asking women to think everywhere and every time in every occasion. So thinking is critical reflection. Okay, critical reflection, that's thinking. Fanciful reflection, that's dreaming. So the answer is B. What does it mean pervasive? It means how spread it is, if we can use spread as an adjective. Okay, it is everywhere, and that's what she's telling them. You have to think everywhere, in funerals, in the wedding, when you are watching TV, when you are in an art gallery, wherever you are, and on any occasion you are, you have to keep thinking.
Why isn't it A? Why doesn't
Hey,
A
what
have
does it say? Is it a new challenge for them? She said earlier, if you remember, for the past 20 years,
Yeah.
we've joined the procession. So it's not a new challenge for women.
So
But now
C.
it's time to think about it so that they can do the right thing. Because she said, where is it taking us? Shall we really join it? And if yes, on what terms? And where is it leading us? So it's not actually a new challenge, but she's trying like to correct the path so that they can get the most out of it. And by they, I mean you. Not all of you, but most of you. Okay? Any questions about this passage? No questions? Tell me.
I think I got every evidence question wrong.
You got every what?
Evidence question wrong.
And why is that?
I don't know.
What do you think is misleading you?
I don't know.
Sometimes
Okay.
all the evidence are correct.
MashaAllah. Great. So here is the thing. As I told you, for the evidence, you have a trick you can play, which is look at the previous question and start from there. As you see today, that's why if you remember, I never tell you it's 100% thing. There's nothing on earth that's 100% accurate all the time. And that's why I always tell you 80% of the time, maximum 90% of the time, because you don't actually suppose that a trick will always help you. But if it helps you 80% of the time, you must be happy, satisfied, and grateful. So what do we do for the evidence if this trick doesn't work? What did we do today? We were patient. We started with A, B, C, and D until we got our answer. And once you read and find something that's related to the question, you don't have to keep reading. For example, in question 39, as you can see here on the screen, it starts with 46, line 46, and it ends with line 62. Does that mean I have to read from 46 to 62? No, you don't. Okay? You start from 46 and you keep reading. Okay? You found your answer, that's it. Why would you read the other options if you're already sure that this is the answer? Okay? If you read A and B because they're following each other, right? 46, 47, and then 48, 49. What if it's none of them? It's not A, it's not B. Then you don't have to read everything up to 62. You can just read the line in C and the line in D. That's it. That's what you should do. But remember,
39, for example, the moment is short. I guess because it's momentous at the 39 question, so I saw it's the evidence is the moment is short.
okay, as I said,
It's momentous.
you have to focus on the look. The thing is sometimes we focus on the evidence, but we forget what the question is really asking us to do. And that's why I say, before you try even reading any of these lines on evidence, you have to highlight the keywords. And here they said, Wolf characterizes the questions in these lines as both. So when you highlight the word both, you should know and you have to know that you need two characteristics. And when you say the moment is short, okay, that makes sense, but it's one characteristic, but I need both. That will help you. Okay, so evidence is very important, of course, but before you try reading those lines in evidence, pick your keywords accurately. I always say that, whether it's the writing section, whether it's the reading section. If you don't get the right keywords, you're not going to be able to answer the questions correctly. How do I get the keywords? I mean, by this time, you should actually be able to do that. It's just by practicing, and we have been practicing a lot. Okay, for some of us, maybe we can get the hang of it just from 1 or 2 practices. Some other people need more. It's fine. Practice as much as you think you want, as much as you think you need, but you must learn it at the end. Okay, and if you don't, I don't know what to tell you, to be honest.
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
For number 37,
Yep.
why didn't we say that the evidence is D?
37.
Yeah, so
Why
line
didn't we
30
say
to
the evidence is
34.
D?
Yeah.
So let me tell you. 37, the answer is D, right? 34, what is it? What are these lines saying? We too can leave the house, can mount those steps, pass in and out of those doors, make money, administer justice. We who now agitate these humble pens may in another century or 2 speak from a pulpit. What is she doing here? She's listing the same jobs that she listed before, but now this time she's talking about women. Why is she listing those jobs and professions? What's the point?
Examples? I don't know.
Examples, good. For what?
For women leading?
For we go ourselves. So if they ask you to support your answer, would you go for the main idea or for the examples that support the main idea?
No, the main idea.
Thank you. Okay. And you're gonna have this, of course, that's a good question. You're gonna have something like that. You're gonna see that there are 2 options and they have the same idea. You don't go to the examples or to the details that support the main idea. You go to the main idea itself, because that's your evidence, right? And when you get evidence, you get the main idea before the examples. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Welcome. Right. We have this passage. I believe we read some parts of it before, we answered some questions on it before, but as usual, we need to read now the whole thing and answer the whole set of questions. Okay, so I need you to follow me. Now, when I'm reading, I'm going to ask you a few questions here and there, what the author means, what's the meaning of this word, what can you understand from this part, so please be active. Okay, and at the same time, it's much better if you already print out the material that I sent you, so that you can highlight at the same time, or it's fine, you can do the same thing on your, I don't know, device, whatever it is. Let's see. Again, step number 1, never skip the blurb. What is it saying? This passage is adapted from Francis J. Flynn and Gabrielle S. Adams. What are they saying? Money can't buy love. Okay, and then we have a colon, which means they're gonna clarify what they mean by money can't buy love. What is the topic? They are telling us now that we have asymmetric beliefs about gift price and feelings of appreciation. So simply they're telling us we're going to discuss beliefs about gift price and feelings of appreciation. But asymmetric, what does it mean? First of all, it's the opposite of what?
Symmetric.
Symmetric, good. What does symmetric mean?
Equal, equivalent.
Good. Equal, equivalent, similar. So asymmetric, what does it mean?
Not similar.
Different, right? Okay. So simply what they are telling us here, that we're going to discuss different beliefs, different theories, different opinions about the relationship between the gift price and the feelings of appreciation. And we're going to see that in the passage and how actually it affects the structure of the passage itself. That's why I always say, make the most out of every blurb you read. Don't just read it and you say, okay, and just keep going. No, you have to have the mind of a predictor, a person who can sense what's going to follow. Let's see. Every day, millions of shoppers hit the stores in full force, both online and on foot, searching frantically for the perfect gift. These are my keywords in this sentence. Last year, Americans spent over $30 billion at retail stores in the month of December alone. Aside from purchasing holiday gifts, most people regularly buy presents for other occasions throughout the year, including weddings, birthdays, anniversaries, graduations, and baby showers. This frequent experience of gift giving can engender my ambivalent feelings in gift giver. Now, here's the thing. If you noticed, here we have every day, regularly, frequent. When you see one idea is highlighted in many different words, be sure there's going to be a question about it. Okay? Because every day, isn't it regular? And if something is regular, isn't it frequent? So when they express the same idea in different ways, be sure there will be a question about it. Focus on that. Okay? Let's continue. So we read that part before, if you remember. We said many relish the opportunity to buy presents because giving offers a powerful means to build stronger bonds with one's closest peers. But at the same time, many dread the thought of buying gifts. They worry that their purchases will disappoint rather than delight the intended recipients. Now, anthropologists describe gift giving. So now let's see the opinion of anthropologists. What does it mean, anthropology?
Study of human, social human.
Good, thank you. The study of human beings. So the people in this, study or science, they think that gift giving is something positive. It's a positive social process. Why? Because it serves political, religious, and psychological functions. Okay, that's the first opinion. And then you see economists, another group of scholars, however. So immediately, of course, you're going to expect what the opposite. So economists offer a less favorable view. What is that view? They will explain. They said, according to Wolfvogel, 1993, gift giving represents an objective waste of resources. So that's what economists think. So when we talk about anthropologists, they think it's positive. But economists, they think it's a waste of resources. Now, people buy gifts that recipients would not choose to buy on their own, or at least not spend as much money to purchase. And this is referred to as what? This is very important. It's the dead weight loss of Christmas. Okay? To wit, which means let's think about it. Givers are likely to spend $100 to purchase a gift that receivers would, if they want to buy it on their own, they would spend only $80 to buy themselves. That's the dead weight loss. If you want to buy a gift for somebody, you are willing to buy $100. But if this person wanted to buy this thing on his own or her own, they would not pay more than $80. So that $20 difference is the dead weight loss. So this dead weight loss suggests that gift givers are not very good at protecting what gifts others will appreciate. Okay, now here we have another group of people. That in itself is not surprising. To whom? To social psychologists. So now we have three groups of people. Ya Muhammad. The anthropologists, they say gift giving is a positive social process. Economists say gift giving is a waste of resources. Anthropologists say they say that this dead weight loss that happens in gift giving is not a surprise. Research has found that people often struggle to take account of others' perspective. Their insights are subject to egocentrism, social projection, and multiple attribution errors. So why is this happening? I mean, why would I buy you something $100 that you would not pay more than $80 if you wanted to purchase it on your own? That's the reason, and it's mentioned here. Research has found that people often struggle to take account of others' perspectives. I cannot think the way that you think, and you cannot think the way I think. I think that you will like this more, right? And that's why, you know, sometimes if you're watching a TV show or a movie or something like that, you see that there's a husband who goes and gets, you know, some nice flowers, colorful flowers, and he's happy. His wife is gonna like them. She's gonna be crazy. She's gonna shout and screams out of happiness. And when he arrives home, she says, "Is that what you got me?" I mean, come on. Say thank you at least, right? So that's what's happening here. It's just the perspective, because when I buy you this gift, I think that this is the best thing that you can have. This is the thing that you need. This is the thing that will help you in your life. But actually you, whether you express it or not, we're not talking about the interaction now. We're talking about the feeling, the perspective. You would say, you know what, if he gave me the money instead of buying me the flowers, I could have bought this, I could have bought that, right? That's what's happening here. Let's continue. So what is surprising is that gift givers have considerable experience acting as givers and recipients. Now, that's what's surprising. I mean, in our lifetime, we give a lot of gifts, and at the same time, we receive a lot of gifts. So why cannot we, you know, take account of each other's perspectives? The thing is, they're telling you that it's actually, that's what's surprising. What is surprising is that gift givers have considerable experience acting as both givers and recipients, but nevertheless, they tend to overspend each time they set out to purchase a meaningful gift. And why is that? We're gonna see here. In the present research, we propose a unique psychological explanation. Of course, because we said that's surprising, they will not just in the passage tell us that this is something surprising and they just move to another idea. No, they will explain what's behind that. So they said, we propose a unique psychological explanation for this overspending problem that gift givers equate, that's the beginning, they equate how much they spend with how much recipients will appreciate the gift, which means the more expensive the gift, the stronger a feeling, a gift recipient's feelings of appreciation. That's how we think when we give, not when we receive. When we want to give somebody a gift, we say the more expensive, it means that this person will love it more, will appreciate it more. Now, here's the thing. Although a link between gift price and feelings of appreciation might seem intuitive, that's something instinctive, right? I mean, it's in our nature. And we're not just making this link like in a stupid way. No, it's intuitive, it's instinctive, it makes sense, right? If I buy you something with $50, you're gonna love it. But what if I buy you something with $200? You are supposed to love it more, right? It's more expensive. So they said, despite that this explanation is intuitive, such an assumption may be unfounded, which means it doesn't really work. It has no basis. That's just how we think. Indeed, we propose that gift recipients will be less inclined to base their feelings of appreciation on the magnitude of a gift than givers assume. So they're telling us what's happening is because of this equation that we make in our heads, right? The more expensive, the more appreciation, but that's not correct. Why do gift givers assume that the gift price is closely linked to gift recipients' feeling of appreciation? Perhaps givers believe that bigger gifts convey stronger signals of thoughtfulness and consideration. Now, if we ask ourselves, why do the givers think the more expensive, the more appreciation? Because they say, when I buy something bigger, stronger, more expensive, that shows that I have stronger feelings of thoughtfulness and consideration and care. That's the explanation. According to Kammerer 1988 and others, gift giving represents a symbolic ritual whereby gift givers attempt to signal their positive attitudes toward the intended recipients and their willingness to invest resources in a future relationship. Now, in this sense, gift givers may be motivated to spend more money on a gift in order to send a stronger signal to their intended recipient. Again, what they are trying to do when they buy something more expensive, just to show how thoughtful, how considerate, how caring they are. As for recipients, they may not understand or receive or interpret smaller and larger gifts as representing smaller and larger signals of thoughtfulness and consideration. So simply what they're telling us here, what givers believe is not the same thing as the receivers believe. The givers think this more expensive, it means I care more, so they will appreciate it more. But the recipient doesn't receive a smaller gift as, you know, a weaker feeling of thoughtfulness and consideration, or a larger gift means that there's more thoughtfulness and consideration. Here's the gap. Here's the explanation. There's a gap between how the givers think and how the recipients think. And now we go to the last paragraph. The notion, the idea of gift givers and gift recipients being unable to account for the other party's perspective. Look, again, that's what we mentioned before, that all of this is happening because givers struggle to take account of others' perspectives. Now, seems puzzling. As we said, it's surprising, it's confusing. Why is this happening? Because people slip in and out of those roles every day, and in some cases, multiple times in the course of the same day. So they must be experienced about that. Yet, despite the extensive experience that people have as both givers and receivers, they often struggle to transfer information gained from one role and apply it in another. So yes, we are the same people. We have a lot of experience as givers and as receivers. But the experience that we have as receivers, we cannot apply it when we are the givers, and the other way around. So, in theoretical terms, people fail to utilize information about their own preferences and experiences in order to produce more efficient outcomes in their exchange relations. In practical terms, people spend hundreds of dollars each year on gifts, but somehow never learn to calibrate their gift expenditures according to personal insight. That's the conclusion. Do you have any question about that? Is everything in the passage clear now? All right, let's start with question number 11. The authors most likely use the examples in lines 1 through 9 of the passage to highlight what? Again, that's a function question. And they mentioned the specific lines, but because of course they started with line 1, there's nothing called go back. It's line 1. And again, they gave us half of the answer to highlight, because the function question will just end with 2. Okay? But here they said to highlight. But what are they trying to highlight? So if we go back there, we already said, guys, look, they said every day, millions of shoppers searching for the perfect gift. And then they gave us an example. Americans spent over $30 billion in 1 year. And aside from purchasing holiday gifts, most people regularly buy presents for other occasions. And then they give us examples: weddings, birthdays, anniversaries, graduations, baby showers. And then they said, this frequent experience of gift giving can engender ambivalent feelings in gift givers. And then they talk about 2 different types of feelings: the positive and the negative, right? Now, since I have every day and I have frequent and I have regularly, what is the point that I'm trying to highlight here? Look at the options and send me your answers, please.
What does A mean? Regularity with which people shop for gifts.
You tell me. I mean, all the words are clear. We're trying to highlight the regularity, the frequency with which people shop for gifts. So, I mean, it's self-explanatory. It explains itself.
Can I ask a question, please?
Yes.
Mr. Excuse me, can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Go ahead.
Someone's perspective means, okay, the expression of to account for someone's perspective means to know his point of view.
Yes. To understand the attitude or the point of view of the other person. Okay, so yes, the answer is A. They just want to highlight how regular, how frequent people go shopping for gifts. That's it. Okay, and to show us how this experience is frequent, how it happens regularly, and so on. We already answered ambivalent. We're not going to do it again to save you, getting wrong answers. When we do a question for the first time, I'm fine with everybody getting it wrong. But what I am not fine with when we do a question before, and then we do it again, and then we still get the wrong answer. Okay, so we're not going to do question number 2. We already did it before, and the answer was B, conflicted, because it was a mixture of positive feelings and negative feelings. And then, yes, we did question 13 and 14 before. And we said the evidence is in A, and the answer for 13 is D. People value gift giving because they feel that it can serve to strengthen a relationship. And our evidence is in the lines 10 through 13. Now we have an easy question, actually, which is question number 15. Remember the 3 groups we talked about? We talked about the anthropologists, the economists, and the social psychologists. And look, the question here is about the social psychologists. So the social psychologists mentioned in paragraph 2 would likely describe the dead weight loss phenomena as what? Again, I have my keywords. and I know which group I'm asked about, who can tell me in which line it's mentioned? And why are the cameras off? Why? Should I get mad at you every single session?
No,
Look
so
at
I
your cameras,
think
guys.
on the WhatsApp something.
Yeah, you told me, yeah, it's fine. Look, once somebody tells me that there's an emergency, Carlos, there is no need to talk about it. I understand. But those who don't have an emergency. Okay, so my question now, they're asking us, what does or what do the social psychologists describe the dead weight loss as? My question first is simple. Where are the social psychologists mentioned in the passage? Just give me the lines, please.
From 20 and 25.
Again?
According from 20 to 25, according to Fogel.
Those are economists. According to Vogel, we said that it's a waste of time, or sorry, a waste of resources. And that's what the economists are saying. Yes. So actually, they are mentioned in line 30. They said that in itself, of course, when we ask ourselves, what is that? They were talking about the dead weight loss. So that in itself is not surprising to social psychologists. That's our answer. That's it. So how do they describe the dead weight loss? As not surprising. Now I go to the options and I don't see not surprising, but I have a close one. I have a synonym for that. What is the answer? Yes, exactly. Thank you, guys. So the answer is A. They would describe this phenomenon as predictable. Why? Because in the passage, it's mentioned that is not surprising. And that's why the answer should be A, predictable. Now, the passage indicates.
Statement question.
Thank you. And the previous one, by the way, it's an inference question. And it's a simple inference, because if you think something is not surprising, how would you describe it? Predictable. But here it's a statement. The assumption made by gift-givers in lines 41 to 44 may be what? Okay, so we have 41, 44. So gift-givers equate how much they spend with how much recipients will appreciate the gifts. Okay, so these are the lines. Now, we said when we have specific lines, we read before, right? But here, if we read before, we're just actually introducing the idea. We said what's surprising in that is that gift givers have considerable experience acting as both givers and recipients, but they tend to overspend each time they set out to purchase a meaningful gift. And then we propose, look, we propose, and that's the explanation. So first, they're just telling us about the surprising thing, the surprising fact, but then they will explain, and they give us the explanation. It's the link between the gift price and the feeling of appreciation. What did we say about that assumption? Look, although a link between gift price and feelings of appreciation might seem intuitive to gift givers, such an assumption, I found one of my keywords, assumption. What is the answer? It may be unfounded. So the answer is unfounded. So now they're telling us the passage indicates that the assumption made by gift givers, again, look, you have assumption mentioned in the passage by gift givers mentioned in the passage, even maybe itself is mentioned in the passage, and they said unfounded. We just need to find one of these options that matches the meaning of the word unfounded.
What does insincere mean?
Dishonest.
And sustained.
Substantiated.
Yeah,
Substantiated means supported.
Mhm.
Where are the answers, guys? Okay, here's the thing. Unfounded as an adjective, it comes from the verb found, not find. And there's a big difference. Because the past of find is found. But the past of found, which is another verb, founded. And found simply means establish. When you say this school was founded in the year 1995, it means it was established. Or sometimes found means base. Okay, so the basis of something. So when you say that this assumption is unfounded, simply it means it's not established, it's not based, and it's not supported. So D is the exact opposite of the right answer. It's because again, founded, it means unfounded, it means not established, not based on anything, not supported. But substantiated means supported. So it's the exact opposite. Insincere, it shouldn't work. I mean, why would they be insincere about that assumption? We said it's intuitive, it's natural. We are born with this mentality. So it's either B or C. Now, the answer is B, right? Unreasonable. When we read here, what are they saying? Although a link between gift price and feelings of appreciation might seem intuitive. Okay, so how does it seem? Intuitive, instinctive, natural, logical, reasonable. B is not the right answer. It's the opposite as well. Because we said that this link seems to gift givers what? Intuitive, natural, it makes sense, which means it's logical, right? But it's not founded, it's not correct, it's not based on scientific evidence. That's just how we think. We said intuitive from the word intuition, which means fitra, right? That's how we are born, that's how we are created, that's how we think, that's our logical sense. So I cannot say it's unreasonable. Actually, it is reasonable. They are saying the more money I pay for the gift means that the more I care, and the people that receive my gift, they should appreciate it more. That's reasonable. It's just incorrect. And that's the difference between B and C. We still have questions 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, but we're gonna do them after the break. So as usual, let's have our 15-minute break. We're gonna get back at 7 exactly. Please don't be late. Come on, guys, we're back. Where is everybody? Radwa, Naya, Muhammad, Usama. Okay, guys, so question number 16, we already answered it, and we said that the answer is that this assumption is incorrect. And we based our answer on the lines that we have in 46, 47, right? Now it's followed by evidence, but the lines 46 and 47 are not there. So how can we answer such a question? Simply, you're going to look for the lines that give you the same thing. We said that this assumption that the bigger the gift, the more appreciation is wrong. We need to find something like that in the evidence lines that we have. So here was our answer. We said, although a link between gift price and feelings of appreciation might seem intuitive to gift givers, such an assumption may be unfounded, right? So that's incorrect. Let's look at the line. So we have 53, 55, and then 55 to 30. So why do gift givers assume that gift price is closely linked to gift recipients' feelings of appreciation? Perhaps givers believe the bigger gifts convey stronger signals of thoughtfulness and consideration. According to Kammerer and others, gift giving represents a symbolic ritual whereby gift givers attempt to signal their positive attitudes toward the intended recipient and their willingness to invest in resources in a future relationship. So for the options A and B that I've just read, which are the lines 53 to 60, none of them is telling me why this assumption is wrong. They're just telling me how they assume that, okay? So A and B doesn't really help me here. If I go to 63, 65, let's see, what does it say? Here it says, as for gift recipients, they may not construe, interpret, they may not understand or receive smaller and larger gifts as representing smaller and larger signals of thoughtfulness and consideration. So the difference here is the lines that we chose, we're focusing on the givers. And we said that their assumption is incorrect, unfounded. These lines, on the other hand, they express the same idea, but focusing on this time not on givers, but recipients. And they said that it's the opposite. They may not construe smaller and larger gifts as representing smaller and larger signals of thoughtfulness and consideration. Okay, basically it's the same idea, because these lines are telling us that what the gift givers assume is wrong. Why? Because the recipients may not interpret smaller and larger gifts as smaller and larger signals of thoughtfulness and consideration. The only difference, as I said, is that the previous lines focus on the givers. These lines focus on the recipients, but it's the same idea. If we go to D, if we're gonna check it, right? It's always good if you check the other options just to make sure that your answer is 100% correct. So the lines 75 to 78 are saying, in theoretical terms, people fail to utilize information about their own preferences and experiences in order to produce more efficient outcomes in their exchange relations. Now that's of course related to the conclusion that we had, but it doesn't tell us how the giver's assumption is wrong. So I cannot choose it. Okay. Now here we have in line 54, convey. 54, come on. What is the first step when we are asked about the meaning of a specific word? What do? Let's follow the steps. Number one, part of speech. So gifts convey stronger signals of thoughtfulness and consideration. It's a verb. Who's doing that action of conveying?
Gifts.
It's gifts. Good. Because if it's confused with gift givers, that's going to change the whole meaning. So it's the gifts that they convey. What do they convey?
Signals.
Of thoughtfulness and consideration. We can say feelings, right? Because what are thoughtfulness and consideration? Their feelings, attitudes, even if you want to say, viewpoints, that's acceptable. So keeping that in mind, I have gifts convey feelings. What does it mean here? Now, one of the meanings of convey, of course, is to transport, but this is a physical meaning. And we talked about how a word can be used physically, literally, or if it's used figuratively in a different way. Can we say that the gifts transport feelings or signals of thoughtfulness and consideration? Of course not. What about counteract? Does it work? It's either exchange or communicate. C or D? Send me your answers in the chat box. Let's see what you think. So is it gifts exchange feelings or gifts communicate feelings? Perfect. It's D. As I said, if we confuse gifts with gift givers, maybe we would think that the answer is C, that givers, exchange feelings. But once I know that actually the subject of the verb convey is gifts, gifts cannot exchange feelings. They just express feelings, communicate feelings. And now the answer is D. Now here's the thing. We still have questions 19, 20, and 21. 19 is about the passage, but 21 and 22, they are about the graph that follows the passage. And I'm going to give you 5 minutes to answer these 3 questions, guys. So 19, 20, and 21. Please read these questions, apply the methods we learned about how to answer graph questions, send me your answers. But please, everybody, send me your answers in one message, like 19, 20, 21. Not individual answers, please. Come on, guys, please send your answers now.
Excuse me, can you tell me the answer of question number 17 because I didn't hear it?
17, it's C. 63 to 65. Okay, here is the thing. So when they included the information that's quoted from Camera and others, what was the function? Remember, it's a function question, and they give us a specific line. We need to go back and read more. So this is Camera, and so it's very close to the beginning of the paragraph. So I start from the beginning. What did we start the paragraph with? With the question, right? So why do gift givers assume that gift price is closely linked to gift recipients' feelings of appreciation? That's a question. And then look, perhaps givers believe that bigger gifts convey stronger signals of thoughtfulness and consideration. After we had the question, we had a possible answer. Perhaps, maybe. Givers believe that, as we said, you know, bigger gifts, bigger appreciation or more appreciation. Now, and then they mentioned Camera and others saying that gift giving represents a symbolic ritual. What's happening there? Whereby gift givers attempt to signal their positive attitudes toward the intended recipient and their willingness to invest in resources in a future relationship. So here's the thing. We have a question, we have a possible answer, and then we have what? So are we introducing an argument? Is that an argument? No. An argument, it's just a way we use the language to convince others of our opinions, especially if we have different opinions. It's not an argument. To question a motive? No. Remember, question, when we use it as a verb, most of the time it means doubt. And there's no doubt there. Is it to support a conclusion? No, we didn't reach a conclusion, actually. We said perhaps. It's a possible answer, but it's not a definite conclusion. So the answer is A. Again, we're trying to offer an explanation. And that's why we mentioned what Cameron and others are saying regarding this topic.
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
If we were to say that it was to support a conclusion, they talked about how in the previous paragraph how gift givers equate how much they spend and
Okay.
how much it will be appreciated.
But again, how can I say that they are supporting that conclusion and this following paragraph is asking a question about the same thing? If I had a conclusion, I wouldn't ask. Right?
Yeah.
If you already have done research or study or whatever you have, and you have the answer, after you're done with your study, would you ask a question about the thing that you researched about?
No.
No, same thing applies here. All right, for question number 20, we have no problem. I think everybody got it right, it's B. We said that they base their predictions of the appreciation on the monetary value of the gift. And of course, monetary is just an adjective for money. Because here, if we look at givers, as we said, the less expensive, they think it will get less appreciation than the more expensive, right? That's the difference. And they're asking us, what are they basing their predictions on? It's about whether the gift is less expensive or more expensive. So it's about the money, right? Monetary value, which means the money value of the gift. The answer for 20 is B. 21. The authors would likely attribute the differences. So they will say that attribute, it means relate or explain. Or attach, whatever you want. Like they will explain the differences in gift givers and recipients mean appreciation as presented in the graph to what? They will relate it to what? They will explain it using what? And we already mentioned that in the passage, and it's twice mentioned that it's because people cannot shift perspectives when they are givers and then when they are recipients. Okay, so the answer is A. It's because of the inability to shift perspective. Where is our evidence? It's mentioned twice. The first time it was mentioned is here. Research has found that people often struggle to take account of others' perspectives. And then it's mentioned again. Despite the extensive experience that people have as both givers and receivers, they often, again, the same word, struggle to transfer information gained from one role and apply it in another complementary role. And it's mentioned here at the beginning of the paragraph, the notion of the gift givers and gift recipients being inability to account for the other party's perspective. So it's because of the inability to shift that perspective. So as you can see, there are multiple, places in the passage where we can support our answer for 21. And now it's definitely A. It's because of the inability to shift perspective. Okay. And here they are just showing that in the graph again. Look at how the givers think about the appreciation and how recipients. Is it the same? No. They're asking us, what's the reason? Why isn't it the same? If we go back to the passage, we will find these three pieces of information that they're telling us about the inability to shift perspective. Okay. Now, if you remember, last time I sent you 4 passages, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, passage number, because it's the same test. Remember, in the test, we have 5 passages. We already did one of them earlier, paired passages. If you remember, it's about space mining. So that's already done. And we did one about Akira and the story in Japan. We did about the bridge over the River Thames and the passage that's talking about the situation of women in English society. And now we've just done the one about the relationship between gift price and feelings of appreciation. The 5th one, which is actually the passage number 3, because if you go back to the group, you'll find them numbered in this way. Like you have R, of course, stands for reading. And then you have T, that stands for test, and then P, that stands for passage. So we've done T1, P1, which means test 1, passage 1. We've done T1, passage 2. We haven't done number 3. We've done number 4. So the only passage that we haven't done from test number 1 is passage number 3. So that's going to be your homework. You do it and you send me your answers. For the next time, now here's the thing. Next week, we have 2 sessions, right? So I'm going to send you a reading test and you will do the whole reading test. Now, maybe because this is the first time for you, all of you, some of you, most of you, I don't know, it depends on everybody and if they have already started practicing, you will do only the reading test. You don't have to time yourself 65 minutes, okay? But you have to time yourself to see how much time it takes you to read the 5 passages and answer the 52 questions. And then you will know how much difference you have between your own time and the test's actual time. Because we said time management is very important, but I don't want to put you under pressure from the beginning. So it's fine, take your time. But again, you have to time yourself. How much time did it take you? 60, 65, 70, 75, 80 minutes? So that you can see your speed and work on, of course, increasing your speed in reading and answering the questions. And then once we're done, inshallah, on Monday, we have our lesson on Monday, right? Or Tuesday? No, Tuesday, I think. On Tuesday, after we finish our discussion of the reading test that you will do, I'm going to send you a writing test and you do it and we discuss it on Thursday. What I mean, I'll send you today a reading test or tomorrow. You do it, you send me your answers and we discuss it on Tuesday. And then on Tuesday, after we finish our session, I'm going to send you a writing test. You do it, you send me your answers, and we're going to discuss it on Thursday. So Tuesday for discussing the reading test, Thursday for discussing the writing test. After that, I'll send you the whole test, reading and writing. Okay, and I'll send it on Friday. So you have a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday and Monday. But let's say Sunday to send me your answers. So you have 3 days. You have Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You do the test in one of these 3 days. And then on Monday, I have the time to analyze your answers. So please, the answers that will be sent after Sunday will not be considered. I'll ignore them. And people who don't send their answers on Sunday maximum, I'm sorry, they will not be admitted to the session. Like if you want to join the session, sorry, I'm not gonna add you. And that's gonna work for all our discussions. Those who don't send their answers or send their answers late after Sunday, first of all, their answers will not be included for the discussion and they will not be admitted to the online session. So please make sure that you don't miss any test I send you. Because as I told you earlier, now, alhamdulillah, we are done with the course. We've covered all the skills or the topics or the question types. What we need now is practice. And practice is more important than just, theoretical information. So tomorrow I'll send you the reading test. You do it, you send me your answers on Sunday maximum, inshallah. And we discuss it on Tuesday. Okay?
Mr. Excuse me, the homework that you told us about, it starts of the passage started with the chemical formula.
What?
The homework that you're going to do, the passage starts with the chemical formula. It's about genetical implications.
Yeah, the DNA passage, that's homework. You do it, you send me your answers, but tomorrow I'm going to send you a whole test, 5 passages, reading test. You do it and you send your answers for the whole test, 52 questions on Sunday maximum. So that we can discuss that test on Tuesday, inshallah.
Can I ask something?
Yep.
It's actually about question 20 and 21.
Mm.
These are graphic questions, right? So aren't we supposed to look at the graph first?
Yes, we did. Weren't you here when we looked?
I was, but like, aren't we, if we found the answers in the graph, we don't go back to the text,
No, for
right?
21, for 20, it's just about the graph, and you can answer it by just looking at the graph. But 21, you have to go back to the passage. Why? Because it's saying the authors would likely, that's an inference question, would likely attribute the differences in the gift giver and recipient's mean appreciation as represented in the graph to what? So you're gonna look at the graph just to see that they are different. But because of what? You have to go back to the passage. Okay?
Okay, yeah, thank you.
For 20, it was just enough to look at the graph. We didn't look at the passage for question number 20. But for 21, you have to. Because they're telling you, the graph is showing you the difference. Why is there a difference? You don't know from the graph, you should go back to the passage.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Okay, guys, that's it for today. Have a nice weekend. After I send you the test tomorrow, inshallah, make sure that you do it as soon as possible and send me your answers. See you next week. Goodbye.